Hari Om. In the fifth module of software engineering course, we are currently discussing software testing methodologies. In our previous video, we have covered what is a black box testing, which is also known as functional testing. We have discussed the boundary value analysis, equivalence class testing, decision table based testing, and cause effect graphing technique. Now in this video we are going to talk about what is structural testing and the introduction of structural testing we will be discussing this video. We have seen all these terms in our previous video. The testing types are also known as testing methodologies. For each testing methodology we will have different testing techniques also, in which we are going to talk about what is white box testing. White box testing is also known as clear box testing, glass box testing, transparent box testing, and structural testing. So these are the other terms used for white box testing. And this testing method will test or examine the internal structures or the internal workings of an application, or if I say a program code, in what is the structure of your program code, what is the logic followed in the program code, what are the different statements used in that particular program code, what is the execution flow of that particular program code. This is what is examined in the white box testing. Comparing to your functional testing, or you call it as black box testing, where we focus on the output conditions that are being generated whenever an input is given for a particular function. So in the functional testing, you just focus on the function, not the internal structure. Just what will be the output generated when you give valid input as well as invalid input. That is what is focused in our black box testing. Contrasting to the black box testing, in the white box testing, we are going to test the structure of the program. When I say structure of the program, it will be testing statement by statement. Each program code is now being tested. Say for example, you may be having lots of data variables being data types or data variables that are being declared in your program. So all those data variables anomalies will be tested here. Or say for example, you may be having lots of branches in your program. You branch from the true part, you will be branching to one block of the statement, and for the false you may be focusing on the false block for the false case. So there may be more than one branching available in your program. So when you branch from one statement to another statement, the execution flow will be altered. So how it functions, whether the structure of the program is correct or not, will also be tested. So in general, I can say white box testing is concerned with the testing, which will be testing the implementation of the program. Again, I repeat, implementation here, it means what is the logic being followed for the solution of a particular problem. What is the logic being followed for the solution of a particular problem will be tested here. So I can say it is not to exercise all the different input or output conditions. So we are not going to bother about what are the different input conditions, what are the different output conditions. It is all being tested in the black box testing. But here what we are going to do, we are going to exercise the different programming structures. What are the different programming structures available, how many branches are there in your program, whether you are jumping from one part of the program to another part of the program, whether you are invoking a function from one part of the program to another part of the program, whether your function is being recursively invoked again and again. So, or what are the kind of data structures you are going to use in the program, or what are the different data variables that you are using in the program, whether all the data variables that are used are properly declared in your program. These are the things that will be tested in the white box testing. So I can say it is not to exercise the different input or output conditions. Rather than testing the input and output conditions, we test the programming structure. So though you are going to test the programming structure, when you do the dynamic testing, obviously I have to give some input and generate output conditions. So the input and output condition testing becomes the byproduct of your white box testing, I can say. Now, in the white box testing, the criteria for structural testing are generally very precise, because you know what is the format being followed in your programming language, what is the syntax being used in your programming language. So, all these structures are very precise and very formal. You have a specification for your programming language. Use some kind of programming language for coding your program. So obviously the criteria that you are going to use for structural testing will be very precise. Say for example, how to declare an integer, how to declare a float variable, how do you declare a string variable, or how do you declare a class, or how do you declare a structure or union in a C program. So for all these things you have a proper format or the syntax for the structure of your program. So you can say the criteria for the structural testing will be very precise, so it becomes easy for you to generate the test cases. So the test cases will be derived by examining the program's logic. What is the logic you have used in your program? When I say logic, again all the data is being concerned here, or the flow of execution is also being concerned here. So what are the different test cases that can be derived by examining the program logic will be tested here in the white box testing. Now this strategy is used because there may be parts of the code which are not fully exercised by the functional testing. What I mean here is, say for example, when you give some input conditions, there are chances that you are going to omit, or you may be ignoring a part of the code which may not be executed by the set of input conditions. So one set of input condition may be generating a different path, another set of input conditions may be generating another execution path. So if this is the case, sometimes in the black box testing you may omit or you may ignore a part of the code which may not be tested. So to overcome that difficulty also, we can go for the white box testing. Now say for example, if you are going to write a program something like this. This is a program, all of you know this program is used for finding the roots of a quadratic equation. Now in this program, what you do, you have the main function. Inside the main function, here you are going to declare all the variables. You declare all the variables. Then you are going to read the input values. Then you are going to find the d value here, which is b square minus 4ac. Then once you have determined the d value, you may have three different conditions. One, you may have two different roots if the d value is greater than 0, or if the d value is equal to 0, you may have equal roots for the given quadratic equation, and if the d value is less than 0, obviously you are going to have a imaginary roots. So this is how you have defined your program with three different cases. So your program, when you are going to execute this particular program for a for the let me put it this way, when you execute this particular program for one set of ABC value, you may have only this part being executed, or this part being executed, or this part may be executed. So for one set of input condition, any one of these three will be executed. So what happens now? If this is the case, for one set of input condition may not be executing any of these three parts. So obviously what you have to do, you have to give all the three input conditions where it executes all the three cases, and you have to find out what is the output being generated. Whereas in the white box testing, what we are going to do, we go statement by statement. You may be doing it manually, or you may be using some automated tools. So you read the program statement by statement, and you check whether all these statements are precise and all these statements are having proper structure or not. Not only that, whether this particular program code is having proper logic and whether it is optimum for the given solution. This is what will be tested in the white box testing. So when you take the white box testing, you can have static white box testing or you can have dynamic white box testing. When I say static white box testing, the program will not be executed. The program will not be executed. It will be reviewed or examined statement by statement. You will be reviewing the design of the software, or you may review the architecture of the software, or you may be reviewing the code of a particular module or unit. So what you are going to analyze here, you will be analyzing only the structure or the logic that is used in that particular code. Therefore, the static white box testing is also known as structural analysis, because we are not going to execute the program. You just review the program statement by statement or block by block and understand whether the program logic is correct or not. That is what you call a structural analysis. Whereas in the case of dynamic white box testing, we are going to execute the program. You execute the program, you run the program, then you are going to test the structure of the program, whether the logic is generating proper output or not. That is what is tested in the dynamic white box testing. So this is what you have to understand in what is white box testing. So in general, to be more precise, white box testing is used only to analyze or examine the internal structure of your program. Now, if you take white box testing, these are the different techniques that are used in white box testing: path testing, cyclomatic complexity, graph matrices, data flow testing, mutation testing are some of the techniques being followed in the white box testing strategy. Let us see what is path testing. So, path testing is nothing but it is a group of testing techniques based on selecting a set of test paths through the program. When I say group of testing techniques, under path testing itself we have different techniques available. So these group of testing techniques will be based on a set of test paths. When I say test path, in a particular program, what is the execution flow path? What is the execution flow path? Flow of execution. So suppose say you may have, let us take this example. When I say execution flow, when you execute this particular program, this is the first statement executed, then statement 2 will be executed, then statement 3, then statement 4. So all these 4 statements will be executed sequentially. Then what it does, it goes to the next statement. Here it is going to test the value of discriminant, which is the D value. If the D value is greater than 0, these three statements will be executed. After executing these three statements, it goes to the last statement, which is return 0. So what is the execution flow for the D value greater than 0? Statement 1, statement 2, statement 3, statement 4, then statement 5, then statement 6, 7, 8. After 8, it goes to the exit statement of the program. So that means all these statements will be skipped. That is what you call as execution flow. Or suppose, say for example, when you give three input values A, B, C, and if the discriminant value is equal to 0, what will be the execution flow? It will execute these four statements sequentially. Then it will test this particular statement. Discriminant value is not greater than 0. So it goes to the else condition. So that means these statements are not executed now. So it goes to the next statement. And here again D value will be tested. Now it is equal to 0 and it will execute these two statements. After executing these two statements, it goes to the exit statement. Okay, this is what you call as execution flow. So in the path testing, what we are going to do, we are going to use the testing technique which is based on the set of test path. When I say test path, it is going to be one execution flow of your program. Now generally this path testing is applicable for the unit testing, or you can also use it for the module testing, and the effectiveness of this particular testing will deteriorate if the size of the software under testing increases. If the size of your program is very large, then it is not going to give you the effective path testing, right? So that is why we prefer it for the unit testing or for the module testing. Now, when you take the path testing, this path testing involves two steps. One, it is going to generate set of paths. When I say paths, it is again the execution path or the flow of execution of a program. Set of paths which will cover every branch of the program. So that is what we have seen in the example. Every branch means whether the D value is greater than 0, whether D value is equal to 0, whether D value is less than 0. So every branch in the program path will be generated. Then we are going to find a set of test cases which will execute every path in the set of program. Set of program paths. What do you mean by that? You are going to, now in our example, we are going to have three different paths, right? One for D value greater than 0, second one D value equal to 0, and the third one D value less than 0. So three test paths will be available for the given program. Then you are going to find out the test cases which will be executing all the three paths in the program. So this is what we will be doing in the path testing. Now when you take path generation, right? Now the first step is you have to generate the paths. Now the question is, how do you generate the paths? How do you generate the execution path? So generally the execution path is generated through the static analysis of the program control flow. So you just, this is what you call as static analysis. So I have gone through the program statement by statement and I understood one execution flow will be S1, S2, S3, S4, then S5, S6, S7, S8, then the last statement of the program. So this is going to be done by analyzing the structure manually. I am doing it by analyzing the structure of the program manually. So you can generate the paths through the static analysis, because I have not executed the program, I am just analyzing it statically just by reviewing the program code. Or you have lots of software testing tools available to generate the different paths. So you can use any one of the tools to generate the path. That is also possible. This is how we will be generating the different test paths. Yes. So if I want to do the path testing, one of the path testing technique is called as control flow testing. When I say control flow testing, what is the execution control of that particular program? What is the flow of execution of that particular program is what you call as control flow testing. Now the control flow, again I repeat, it is the execution path. The control flow can be analyzed using the graphical representation, which is also known as flow graph. The graphical representation is known as flow graph. Flow graph of the execution, program execution. The flow graph is nothing but a directed graph. We will be discussing, we will see an example of a flow graph also. It's a directed graph which will have set of nodes and edges. Each node will represent one statement, or it may be a block of statements. The same way, each edge of the program represents flow of control. What is the execution from one statement to another statement? So if you have an edge from S1 to S2, that means after executing S1, it goes to S2. That is what is edges. Now, the control flow testing will generate test cases which will cover all the statements and branch conditions, because we are going to analyze each and every statement, and all the branches that are available in that particular program will also be analyzed. So, you generate test cases that will be covering all the statements of the program as well as the different branch conditions of the program. Then you can select set of test paths through this particular program. Then the branch conditions will be tested for both being true and false, so that all statements will be covered, and it generates set of test path that covers every branch. Find the test cases that executes every path. This is what we are going to do in the control flow testing. So what do? You are going to generate the test cases which will be covering all the statements. How do you do that? You select the test paths now. Then the branch conditions will be tested for both true or false if it is binary, or if you have multi-decision branching, that can also be included here. Once it is done, you will be generating set of test paths which will be covering each and every branch. So if you have a true branch, you will have a test path for true branch. You will have a test path for false branch. Then for every branch, the set of test cases will be generated. Now, if you take control flow testing, it is also known as path testing. The first step is you have to draw a flow graph. Flow graph we have already seen, it is a graphical representation of the execution flow. So, you draw the flow graph. Then the second step is from the flow graph, you are going to draw the DD path graph. DD path graph is known as decision to decision path graph. It is known as decision to decision path graph. So draw the flow graph, then draw the decision to decision path graph. So which will be reducing the size of your graph. Then you are going to find out the independent paths to test. Every statement will be executed at least once, and every branch is exercised for true or false conditions. So this is what we are going to do in the control flow testing. Draw the flow graph for the given program, then draw the decision to decision path graph. Then you are going to find out the independent paths. Why? Because you want to test every statement is executed at least once in the program, and every branch is executed for true or false conditions if it is binary, and if it is multi-decision, for each decision you should have a branch condition. Then apart from this control flow testing, we have cyclomatic complexity, graph matrices, data flow testing. All these things are available. We can also discuss in the upcoming video. Now, for the control flow testing, the control flow of a program will be considered as we have seen, and it is also the control flow graph is also it is used for the coverage of various aspects of the graph that are specified as criteria. We will be discussing it, and we have also seen what is a node and what is an edge in a control flow graph. Node in the graph represents one statement, or it may be representing a block of statement, and you may have a you will have a start node and the exit node. So you have start node, you have exit node, and each node will represent one statement or a block of statement. Then apart from that, you will have edges also, and see, suppose if you have an edge from node I to node J, it represents a possible transfer of control after executing the last statement of the block, which is node I, to the first statement of the block node J. So if you have an edge from node I to node J, after the last statement of node I, it goes to the execution. When I say it goes, the execution flow goes to the first statement of the block, which is available in node J. So you can define a path as a finite sequence of nodes which is having n1, n2 up to nk, where k is greater than 1, such that there is an edge from ni to ni plus 1 for all the nodes ni in the sequence except the last node nk. A complete path is a path whose first node is the start node and the last node is an exit node. Then you call it as a complete path. So this is how you will have the control flow graph. With these are the different notations you will be using in the control flow graph. So if you have sequence, you will have node, this is node 1 and this is node 2. You will have a directed edge. So after executing the last statement of this node, it goes to the first statement of this particular node. So that is what is represented here. Transferring the control after executing the last statement of the block. Block, when I say, each block will represent one particular node to the first statement of the block. So this is the node that may represent a block of statements. This is another node that represents a block of statements. So from this node to this node, you will have sequential execution. And if you have if then else in your program, you will have an execution something like this. This is the condition. You will have true part. For a true block, you will have set of statements. False, you will have set of statements here for this block. After executing the true block or the false block, it goes to the next statement. This is how you represent if then else. And if you have while loop, this will be the statements. You test the condition. If the condition is true, again it goes to the set of statements and it will be executed. I can describe it like this. This is the condition, while condition you are going to specify. If the condition is true, the block of statements will be executed. Again it goes back and it tests the condition. This is the condition. If the condition is true, again it goes here and it will execute these set of statements and it goes back to test the condition again. If the condition fails, it will not execute this block. It goes out of the while loop to the next statement. If it is repeat until, what it is going to do? The block will be executed, condition will be tested here. If the condition is true, it will go back. The condition is false, it comes out of the statement. And for the switch statement, The condition will be specified here. First value, second value, and nth value will be given here. These are the set of statements for each decision, and after executing this decision block, it will come out of the switch statement to the next statement. So these are the different notations we will be using in our control flow graph. We will see an example of the control flow graph in the next video. Thank you.